Good morning, Shinola everyone. I'm going to talk about a new headphone. Might be a few months old by now. It's called the Shinola Canfield on-ear. They have a Shinola Canfield over-ear and on-ear. Of course, there's really no such thing as over-ear. It's a scam, but put out by some certain large headphone site. So you got a round ear and on ear, and this one is small enough to be on ear for everybody. And we have some padding on the ear pads, but it's pretty thin. And we have padding on the headband, which is also pretty thin. So you need to be a pretty experienced on-ear headphone user to get on with this, I think. But boy, I love this headphone. This is so nice. It just looks really, really great, and it feels really good. It's got some serious weight to it for the small size, and you know, leather, premium leather here. I guess they call this sheepskin or something here. I'm not sure. And it's double entry, which I like better than single entry, because single entry the wires have to go over top of the headband and all that to feed the other ear cup. And we got a little mic on this cable on the right hand side, and we got the regular box down here, which probably also has a mic on it somewhere. Can't tell, maybe not. It says Shinola Detroit. Almost all these insignias on here say Shinola Detroit, so it's pretty rare to see the term Canfield anywhere. So these buttons will work with an iPhone, you know, volume up, down, stop, start, and all that. But whether it works with Android or not, I don't know. Now I've got the little Apple adapter here for the iPhone's Lightning, but the actual cable looks like this. So that's your standard 4-connector Apple type 3.5 millimeter plug, and the plugs going in the ear cups are 3.5 millimeter stereo plugs on each side, so you get all that you need for each side, each mono side. And the range of adjustment on here is pretty short. It's about not much, maybe a half an inch, maybe just a tiny bit more than a half an inch. So this is going to fit average to small heads. Real big heads, it's just not going to fit unless you can put this on your ears and then rotate the headband forward or back on your head until you get the ear cups maybe up into position better. So it might do a fairly large head, but you're going to have to be able to move the headband to get it into the right position. So the range of adjustment is kind of small. So anyway, there's a look at that headphone. The isolation on this is minimal. It's not as good as something like a B&W P5. And now some other premium headphones like the B&Ws and the B&Os cost pretty close to the same range for their on-ears, but this one here, I'm telling you, it looks a lot better and feels a lot better in the hand than those other brands, even B&W and B&O. This thing is really sexy for a headphone. And the sound, now I want to show this. This is my estimated, I'm going to call it, I better get some more brightness on here. I can't hardly even see this. Let's get that up a little brighter here. But anyway, I boosted the bass a little bit, boosted the lower mid-range a little bit, boosted the lower treble, probably about 6 decibels. But then I had a rather dramatic boost at 9 kilohertz. Now, this is interesting. Most of my headphones have a peak at 9 kilohertz, and I really have to suppress that anywhere from 3 to as much as 10 decibels in a lot of these headphones. I mean, strong peaks at 9 kilohertz, very common. This one here has a big recess at 9 kilohertz, which is kind of unusual. I guess it just takes a dive above 8 kilohertz. And so anyway, in comparison to all these other headphones that I have, that's by comparison rather than by, you know, let's say my hearing. So it's by comparison, and that's going to be pretty much an absolute. This is I don't know if the other ones are like this. I mean, you know, if sample to sample variation is going to be a lot, or I already got some burn-in time on it, and so I don't know. So that's what I wound up with right there. And but I do like the sound. I mean, you can use it without an equalizer, set it for flat and everything else. It sounds pretty good. It's mid-rangey, you know, it's going to be mid-range oriented, and but the way that it's mid-range oriented is not going to emphasize those tracks, modern tracks that have that loudness compensation, you know, the so-called loudness wars. So it won't be offensive in that way. I think it's a great sound for most outdoor and portable use. Used indoors, though, I'd recommend an equalizer to get the very best possible sound out of it. But now, once equalized, of course, the question comes up is, how's the quality? You know, does it have any irritations, any graininess, raspiness, any of that kind of stuff? No. The sound is quite good. The bass detail is very good. And so I think it did a really good job on the build quality on this, and the sound potential is really great. So with you know, if you don't mind paying $350 for something like this, and you want the very best look and feel and all that, there you go. I think this thing is the best in that regard that I have seen. I've seen some awfully good ones. This thing is a real gem. Now, you put this on your head the first time. If you're not familiar with on-ear headphones, you're gonna really feel like you put something on there. You know, like a couple little bricks against your ears or whatever. It's not a strong clamp, but it's you know, there's some clamping there, obviously. But an experienced on-ear headphone user will put this on, and then after a minute or so, when they feel any little pinching effects, just readjust the ear cups. You know, grab the ear cups and just move them back around your ear just a little bit, and so the skin settles in, and it'd be fine. I could wear these for hours, but just be prepared to shift them around a little bit. And anyway, in comparison with a lot of on-ear headphones for sound, take headphones like the famous Beyer DT1350. I'd rather listen to this without EQ than the Beyer DT1350. That thing is just weird. And the ear pads are no way good enough for on that headphone. Now the ear pads on the Beyer's T51P or T51i, those are superb ear pads. And these are not quite that good, but they're a lot better than the ones on the 1350. Yeah, let's see. There's a ton I could say about this. The cardboard box I didn't bring, but when I opened the big package and everything else, I had this big black piece of paper, and it said Shinola Detroit, and it's just a piece of paper, so I'm tossing that. Then the box itself, the big cardboard box, had this inside, this sleeve. It says Canfield on the side here. There's a picture of a headphone with some stuff over here. Back over here on this end, it has technical specs and so on. The value of any of that, I don't know, what, 20 to 20 kilohertz or whatever they say these things are, means nothing. $350. They recently dropped the price of this. There's several color versions of this. This is the one with the you know, kind of a bright finish and black ear pads. But there are versions of this, and I guess this on-ear was originally $500 or something like that. Seems kind of ridiculous, but at $350, it's more into the luxury headphone class rather than just being purely a cosmetic item, which would pretty much be at $500. So anyway, boutique headphone, sounds pretty good, and with EQ sounds excellent. And oh yes, and it had this case, this zippered hard case. Problem with this zippered hard case is you open this thing up and you put the headphone in. There's a couple little bumps there where the ear cups go over. Problem is you have to take the cable off to get it in here, because the cable comes right down to the edge, and you can't zip it up, and you could possibly even damage these connectors down here that way. So the case isn't big enough to put that in there with the cable attached. Now, pulling the cables out, of course, it just disconnects easily like like so it's not a big deal, but I don't like having to disconnect those 2 or 3 times a day to put them in a carry case. You can wear this around the neck comfortably without bumping your chin, so you can carry it around your neck all day long without a problem. But that case, I don't know, strictly for transport. The case, the size of the case being small and slender like it is, you can almost get this in a large backpack, and certainly no problem in carry-on luggage or anything like that. But anyway, so much for the carry case, and that's pretty well the whole deal with this Shinola Canfield on-ear. And Shinola brand came, of course, from the famous shoe polish of many years ago. People used to make jokes about people couldn't tell the difference between something and Shinola, but that's irrelevant to the Shinola brand itself, because Shinola was the actual shoe polish and treatments, and they've taken on that name, bought the name, whatever, and it's now a famous name for boutique products. So there we go. Thank you much.